Hi everyone, let's do the chanting immediately with mindfulness, awareness, conscientiousness, relaxation, clear mind, bright mind. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Buddham Saranam Gacchami, Dhammam Saranam Gacchami, Sangham Saranam Gacchami, Tutayambe Buddham Saranam Gacchami, Tutayambe Dhammam Saranam Gacchami, Tutayambe Sangham Saranam Gacchami, Tatayambe Buddham Saranam Gacchami, Tatayambe Dhammam Saranam Gacchami, Tatayambe Sangham Saranam Gacchami. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya. I take refuge until I am enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the positive potential I create by practicing the 6 paramitas, may I soon attain enlightenment in order to benefit all sentient beings. I take refuge until I am enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the positive potential I create by practicing the 6 paramitas, may I soon attain enlightenment in order to benefit all sentient beings. I take refuge until I am enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the positive potential I create by practicing the 6 paramitas, may I soon attain enlightenment in order to benefit all sentient beings. May all sentient beings have happiness and its causes. May they be free from suffering and its causes. May they never be parted from the happiness beyond suffering. May they abide in equanimity, free of bias, attachment to the near, and aversion from the far. I shall cause this. Great compassionate Buddha, please inspire me to be able to do so. Reverently, I prostrate with my body, speech, and mind, and present clouds of every type of offerings, actual and mentally transformed. I confess all of my negative actions accumulated since beginningless time, and rejoice in all the virtues of all holy and ordinary beings. Please remain until cyclic existence ends, and turn the wheel of Dharma for all sentient beings. I dedicate the virtues of myself and others to the great enlightenment. However innumerable all sentient beings are about to save them all. However inexhaustible my delusions are about to extinguish them all. However immeasurable the Dharma teachings are about to master them all. However endless the Buddha's way is about to follow it completely. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Tayata Gati Gati Parasamgati Bodhisoha. Tayata Gati Parasamgati Bodhisoha. Tayata Gati Parasamgati Bodhisoha. So now time for a little bit of meditation, initially to release the tension in the body and also the mind. So get yourself comfortable and bring your mind inside your body. Starting from the bottom of the body, as you concentrate on certain areas, release the tension, if there is any tension. So from your toes, all around your feet, bottom of the feet, top of the feet, around your ankles and Achilles, your lower leg, calf muscles, around your shins, your knees, your upper leg, quad muscles and hamstrings, all around your neck, I went all the way to the neck then, because we tend to carry a fair bit of stress in this area. Around your midsection, around your hips, groin and glutes, stomach, sides, lower back to the middle of your back, chest, your upper back, rhomboid muscles in between the spine and the shoulder blades, lateral muscles, upper trap muscles that run between the neck and the shoulders. The shoulders, biceps and triceps, around your elbows, forearms and wrists, hands, fingers, and thumbs. Now from the front of your neck, sides of your neck, and the back of your neck, and the back of your head, sides of your head, around your ears and temples, and all around your face, cheekbone area, cheeks. Make sure you're not clenching your jaw, your chin, and all around your mouth, inside and outside. Your nose and sinuses, eye sockets and eyes. Make sure you're not frowning on your forehead. And finally, the crown of your head. Now, very briefly, scan your body once more to see if there's any leftover tension that you can release. And if there is, do so. Now bring your mind to the tip of your nose initially. And we will follow the feeling of the breath as we breathe in our nose, past our throats, quite cool as it passes your throat on the way in, passes the bronchial area, and then fills the lungs and they expand as you breathe in, all the way into your lungs. And then as you breathe out, the lungs compress. The air leaves same way it came in, but it's quite warm as it passes your throat on the way out your nose. So breathing in and breathing out. That's all we have to do physically, apart from being here physically. And mentally, all we need to do is focus on the breath as we breathe in and out. And if the mind wanders, replace your mind back onto your breath. Breathing in, breathing out. Try to stay seamlessly focused on your breath. But if thoughts arise or any mental activity arises, don't cling to it, grasp at it, or try to force it away, deny it. But simply and naturally and gently replace your mind back onto your breath and let go of the thoughts or the activities of mind. And if you start to become dull mentally or sleepy, then wake yourself up a little bit by refocusing on your breath more brightly. Breathing in, breathing out. And a reminder as well is we are focusing on the most important physical thing that we do, breathing. It's like a canvas or a surface for a painter to paint on. Without the surface or the canvas, no painting. Without the breath, no life. It's also very helpful because it tends to bring the mind inside the body and into the present moment. So let's practice like this in silence for a little bit. So now we can feel pleased with ourselves for engaging in the practice. And let's fill our being, our whole being, with universal loving kindness. Utilize the visualization technique of visualizing that we are filled with the white light, or the white nectar if you prefer. Or at the very least, go with the feeling, the strong feeling that we are filling ourselves with the universal loving kindness. Or another way to put it, extending or radiating this loving kindness to ourselves. May we be happy and engage in the causes of happiness. May we be free from suffering and free from engaging in the causes of suffering. May we be peaceful. Fill yourself with so much universal loving kindness that it now overflows and radiates outwards, initially to our loved ones, family and friends, filling them with a universal loving kindness too. May they also be happy, free from suffering, and to be peaceful. And now also include strangers, to radiating this loving kindness to those we're indifferent towards, filling them with the universal loving kindness in the form of the white light too. May they also be happy, free from suffering, and be peaceful. And now also include those you may regard as enemies. Extend this universal loving kindness to them and wish that they are happy, free from suffering, and are peaceful. So now we can radiate this loving kindness out further and further distance-wise, gathering so much momentum now of radiating this loving kindness to great distances very quickly, and to all the living beings, initially around our immediate area, all of the living beings that live in the waters, on the land, fly through the air, whether they're born from wombs, eggs, moisture, or through transformation. All the sentient beings, whether weak or strong, great or small, short or tall, seen or unseen, near or distant, born or still to be born. May they all be happy, free from suffering, and be peaceful. Now extend throughout your whole state or county this loving kindness that is generated initially in your own heart now radiates to all living beings throughout your state or county, and other states and counties throughout your whole country. And throughout all of the countries throughout the world, and also the oceans, all the way to the core of the earth and to the outermost atmosphere. Having this loving kindness pervade everywhere. And other worlds throughout the solar system, and all of the solar systems throughout the galaxy, and all of the galaxies throughout the universe. Have your loving kindness now pervade throughout infinite space. Now you are more loving and kind, and also wiser, realizing that all things are interconnected, interdependent, therefore empty of independence, empty of a lack of connectedness. So also be present here and now to recite the dedication prayer. Due to this merit, may I soon attain the enlightened state of the Buddha, so that I may be able to liberate all sentient beings from their suffering. May the precious bodhicitta, not yet born, arise and grow. May that born have no decline but increase forevermore. And may the precious view of shunyata, not yet born, arise and grow. May that born have no decline, but increase forevermore. So on this really cold day, back to wintertime, even though we're in spring, I think my mum told me before, it said it was 10 degrees, but it felt like 3 or something like that. I don't know how they worked that out, but to do with the wind chill, I guess. But it is very cold. And I will go for a walk still after the class. I haven't been yet today, unless it's raining big time. If it's raining a little bit, I don't mind. I just put my raincoat on, my japara. But yeah, it's quite cold, quite on the shaved head sort of thing. It's quite icy up there. Had a beanie on this afternoon while I was sitting down doing a little bit of computer stuff, and also a hoodie, you know. So anyway, enough of the weather report, and we will continue the commentary on these 4 preliminary contemplations. Of course, we've already covered the contemplation on impermanence, the contemplation on the precious human life, and the contemplation on the law of karma. And we're up to part 2 of the unsatisfactory nature of cyclic existence. As you recall, I will recall, the first 3 I'd written articles already, you know, over the years on those subjects. This one, no. Replacing the article on the unsatisfactory nature of cyclic existence was an article on interdependent origination, which I decided to do because they are related, obviously. And so we will look at that in the coming weeks and dissect that article. And I'm working off a bunch of point notes that I wrote maybe a month and a half ago now for this unsatisfactory nature of cyclic existence. So we'll continue to do that. It means I'm free from looking through my reading glasses just for today and probably next week and maybe even the week after, but definitely we'll finish part 4 if we get to that stage, and then move on to the interdependent origination. Okie doke. Okay. Unsatisfactory nature of cyclic existence. And this contemplation on this. Where we got up to last week, I'll just read you the point notes. Samsara is not just this world. It's not a geographic location, nor is it just nature. Example, Buddhas have lived on this planet, and yet they are free from samsara. So if this planet was samsara and Buddhas came here, then you couldn't say Buddhas are free from samsara. So you could almost say it's a mental state, mentality like that. It's not a physical place, physical thing. It's created by our karma and conditions that we create because of our karma. So the worlds, for instance, are all a result of the collective karma of sentient beings. This household that I'm in right now and your household is a result of the collective karma of all the beings in there right now. But it's mental, even though it kind of manifests as physical things as well. But actually, it's all caused by a mentality. Okay? Samsara is a condition of life, but it is not life itself and not limited to life itself. Escaping from samsara doesn't mean being extinguished any more than it means leaving the city for a mountain retreat, or maybe we can say a beach retreat. Or for us down here, maybe leaving the beach and going for a holiday in the city. No, I doubt that. I used to have a saying, in fact, it's not just my saying. I heard it many years ago when I was living in California, and then I'd come back home about once a year, and sometimes more, to visit mum and dad, do other work as well. And I drive basically straight, I get picked up at the airport, which is the other side of Melbourne, and then drive through the city, you know, the freeways and whatnot, straight to Phillip Island, basically. And then in my rearview mirror, I would see the city. So I would say, I love the city in my rearview mirror as I'm driving away from it. Nothing against cities, though, so don't get me wrong, all right? But I do really like the countryside and always have, you know. It's like therapy. Anyway, we got up to this. the cycle of existence is a way of being. So that I finished it up there. I don't think I got cut off on that. But so it's a way of being. If we have happiness within this samsara, it doesn't last, of course, but we have caused this happiness through our way of being. If we are experiencing the sufferings, we have caused the sufferings too. This samsara or cyclic existence is unsatisfactory. Even if we're at the highest levels of samsara, the formless heavens, where you experience such long life of meditation bliss until it is exhausted, of course. Then you're reborn lower again. That makes it unsatisfactory, doesn't it? Of course, no need to even mention the hells, the animal realm, the ghostly realm, the three lower realms, because we know that they're experiencing the suffering so much. Maybe you can question the animal realm because some of the animals may be experiencing some happiness and goodness and so forth, but still it's unsatisfactory. Human beings, we get to perceive, you could say, or have a little look at mentally the possibilities of the other realms, all within this human realm. We can contemplate these things to understand the unsatisfactory nature of all of the realms of existence, like I said, including the highest of the heavens. Okay, it is, so I'll read that again. The cycle of existence is a way of being. It is the condition of being propelled from the experience of one lifetime to another by the force of our mental afflictions and karma that we have created. So I was alluding to that before. So from one lifetime to the next, this lifetime we experienced some suffering, didn't we? Maybe right now we are. And then we know that we haven't freed ourselves from it, so we will continue to experience some of it, even if sometimes we experience the happiness, like I said, even sometimes really, really focused meditative bliss.
Yeah, to the dance.
So I think I can just hear your voice there, Leanne. So anyway, that's all good now.
I don't feel like
or maybe not. Actually, that's again, someone's putting their mic on. So just to remind you, when it's like that, it's not that I always have to be heard, but when it's like that, it tends to interfere. It's a little bit on like a time delay and things like that. So it gets really murky. It's not as if I talk and then someone else talks. Actually, it's cancelling out each other type of thing. That's why we don't have the mics open, which is a pity, really. I would love to have the mics open. And anyway, so we go from one lifetime to another due to our mental afflictions. So to make it simple, go to the root ones, the ignorance, the attachment, and the aversion. We're continually being reborn because we have not freed ourselves from these three poisons that give rise to all of the other ones. So this is unsatisfactory, isn't it? Because of the karma we've created due to these three as well, and all the others. Of course, like I said, we have created good karma, born as human being, with sense faculties intact. We've covered that during the contemplation on the precious human birth or life. So, but once again, it's impermanent. So even our happiness now, even our level of wisdom we may have, or knowledge, or compassion, loving kindness, and so on, can go backwards. This is unsatisfactory. I'm not saying it will, and we should do our best to have it not go backwards, to continually progress along the path. We should do that and protect ourselves, Like I've said before, during the contemplation on the law of karma, the good karma kind of protects us from experiencing sufferings because we're creating the happiness. So the happiness, you could say, is like the relief from the suffering in that sense. All right, so once again, I'll just read to you. It is the condition of being propelled from the experience of one lifetime to another by the force of our mental afflictions and karma that we have created. And once again, I'll say this is unsatisfactory. This condition of existence and the dissatisfaction it produces is the subject of this contemplation. So once again, this condition of existence, in other words, being unsatisfactory, and the dissatisfaction that this unsatisfactoriness produces is what we're contemplating right now. So, but I'm doing it with a smile on my face, because actually, maybe we get all bummed out if I wasn't. Only joking around, but we can be very happy contemplating this unsatisfactoriness, because what we are doing is we are making ourselves or helping ourselves to be more wise, more in touch with reality, even if it's inconvenient. Clearing away the path to enlightenment. This is fantastic. That's why I've got a smile on my face. Okay, and sharing it with you even makes it more fantastic from my side. Okay, and so why meditate on suffering? I've just alluded to that already. Why meditate on suffering? It's not much fun. There's many fun and joyful things to meditate on, isn't there? You could meditate on the beach. If you like to go surfing, meditate on surfing. Maybe guys attracted to the women can meditate on the women. The women can meditate on the man, and vice versa, all the other ways of being, many, many more fun things to do than meditate on suffering. But like I said, if you meditate on this, meditation right now means contemplation. If you contemplate on this suffering, you get to know it. You get to know what the cause of it is, or the causes are. And then you get to know what to abandon, what to drop, what to purify, what to eradicate. If we didn't know this, how could we free ourselves from suffering? Once again, I will use the same example that I use often, or all the time, actually, when I'm talking about this type of thing. The fire behind you. If you just turn your back on the fire gets worse. So if you turn your back on your mental afflictions, they will just reinforce themselves. And the more you act on them, then actually the more they reinforce themselves quicker and quicker. Okay, so we need to face the fire. We need to face our mental afflictions so that, like I said, we get to know what they are and we get to purify them. We get to know our faults, the causes of our faults, and we get to eventually uproot them. Okay, and of course, contemplation on happiness as well. Actually, like I said, the happiness really is the relief from suffering. Kind of causing the happiness protects us from experiencing the suffering. So by contemplating the suffering, we're also contemplating the happiness. They are two sides of the same coin. All right, so that's one page done. So I'll just repeat that before I put it away. Why meditate on suffering? It's not much fun. I quite like that, actually. There's many fun and more fun and joyful things to meditate on, isn't there? So that's a kind of a funny little quote. Maybe I'll stick that one in social media somewhere sometime. All right, so page number 2 out of 3. Just some examples of more fun things to do as well. I mentioned a few before off the top of my head. But we could just watch a movie, And this goes back to around Mum's birthday, or we could just have a pizza. I enjoy pizza. That's my favorite sort of, you could call it junk food maybe. With all the cheese and everything on it. So, dripping, stringy cheese. I really enjoy pizza. I enjoy chips too, Not so much from the shop though, because I think they tend to mix them. I don't think they cook them separate from the fish, I think a lot of places. So at home, cooked chips. So they're the two things that I thought of we could have as fun. They're much more fun than meditating on suffering. The movie as well depends on the movie though, doesn't it? Maybe there's a lot of suffering in the movie. So why meditate on suffering? The way we live is unsatisfying, and this need not continue. Now, if this just was the way things are, we couldn't change it, we couldn't improve our situation, then I guess meditating on suffering is pointless, isn't it? But I think we know by now it is possible for us to free ourselves from this cycle of existence, to realize nirvana, to realize the extinction of the suffering, not extinction, like I said earlier, as such, but to realize the purification of the mental afflictions. Many ways you can put it, or enlightenment, okay? So the way that we do live and what we experience as we live is unsatisfying. Like I said, even if it's immense happiness, doesn't last. That's not satisfactory. Otherwise, the Buddha wouldn't have troubled us by pointing out the unsatisfying nature of life or the Four Noble Truths. So isn't that true? Why would the Buddha have caused us any trouble and pointed out that we can be free from this? And pointing out the suffering nature of samsara, or the unsatisfactory nature of samsara. Why would he even be bothered opening his mouth, expressing his views? Why would he have taught the Four Noble Truths and the whole of the Dharma path for our benefit, so that we can get to understand, and then we can practice, and then we can realize the truth for ourselves. We can realize the supreme enlightenment for ourselves. It's not as if the Buddha was like walking down a path and saying, come on, let's go this way to enlightenment, come on. And then we get a certain sort of way along the way, along that path, and then he turns around and says, oh, no, I was only joking. You can't go any further. It's not like that at all. That would be very cruel, wouldn't it? If the Buddha pointed out, here's the truth of suffering, and here's the truth of the cause of suffering. That's all. But the Third Noble Truth tells us we can attain enlightenment and freedom from suffering. And then he points out the Fourth Noble Truth on how to do it. Okay, but imagine if it was just the first two Noble Truths. What a bummer. So anyway, so that's that. Something is awry. Even in enjoyable things, there is an element of dissatisfaction and anxiety in all human relations, lying so often just beneath the surface, even in time of pleasure. So I think you can agree with that. Just think about it just a little bit. Even those times, let's say we are busying ourselves with enjoyable things, whether they're meaningful or not. Of course, that's up to us whether they're meaningful. Depends on our attitude, doesn't it? But let's say you are watching a movie and it's an enjoyable movie, but you're also learning from it. You're also realizing maybe this impermanent, you know. You can contemplate psychology of the beings in the movie. So you're becoming a little bit wiser through contemplation as well. But let's say it's still enjoying the movie, but there's something still wrong, isn't there? If you just think of life, really be honest to ourselves and just think this is something a little bit not quite right. That's because our true nature is enlightenment, even though we don't realize that yet. Or if we do, it's only kind of on the surface level at the moment. So really be courageous in looking in our mind, you know. If we think of this weather today that we're having here, really windy, heavy-duty rains, but not raining all the time, and really kind of cold, sinuses are all whacked out, and, you know, like that, and the beanie is on the head. It's unsatisfactory, really, even though I'm a pretty happy guy, okay? And I think it's the same for you guys. I won't harp on any more about that. I think we're almost finished. So thank you again for your presence in the Dharma class. Hope you've enjoyed yourself. I hope you found it beneficial. We'll continue again this next week and the week after, I imagine, before moving on to interdependent origination. So I rejoice in your goodness always, in your meritorious goodness, in the merits that you develop through studying the Dharma, through practicing the Dharma, through sharing the Dharma, through putting little love hearts on your screen there. I noticed I saw that. So anyway, yeah, I think that's about it, really. I don't want to get cut off this time. So look after yourselves, okay? Look after your mind, practice well, and look after yourself.